Okay, this is a one-speaker meeting. Please welcome our speaker tonight, Steve F.
My name's Steve, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Steve.
And I'd opt for taking a birthday cake myself, but you know I've been taught never to jump the gun. April the 30th will be my birthday. I got sober on April the 30th, 1993, which gives me about 12 days shy of 14 years sober, which is a long time. Yeah, I kind of find it kind of hard to believe I did that long too. I don't know if I came in here for that long. I got some presents already. I got some speakers. My grand sponsor, Howard P. He spoke here a little ways back. Congratulations to all the birthday people and to all the chip takers, and especially to the newcomers. You know, I didn't realize it was here that I was coming to speak. I did the Sunday morning here about a little over a month ago, I think it was, and I was invited here to speak, and I see, oh God, geez, I'm going to bore everybody to death. They were all there. I don't know how many of you were here, you know, but when I started to think about how many speaker meetings I go to, I don't go to that many speaker meetings, and so I thought, well, you know, and I saw like a whole bunch of newcomers, and you know, I don't know. I never sort of prepare. I don't really have like a prepared pitch, and I mean, I have a pitch. I mean, I just got my story, and I guess it just depends on where I want to start. You know, to tell you, give you some kind of insight into how I stayed sober. Who was that visitor from Cleveland? Yeah, Cuyahoga County. You know, I have the record for the longest running child support suit in Cuyahoga County. I do. I'd say, you know, I mean, you know, I don't know you, but I'm not from here. I'm not from this country. I'm from England, which explains why I speak properly. I'm from a town called Brighton. It's a little town on the south coast. If any of you watch Quadrophenia or like the Who, they sing about Brighton, you know, and that's where I come from. It has the reputation of having the most pubs per capita of any town in England, and I think I probably went to each and every one of them. There was one on every street corner, and I was introduced to pubs at a very early age. I was the only black kid in the entire town, you know, and you know, my parents, my father was African and he wasn't around. I don't know where he was, but and my mother and my grandmother and my grandfather were English, and lily white and white as snow, as they say in the big book. And of course, when they saw me sitting in my high chair, banging on the high chair to the music, they said, "Oh, he's got rhythm." So they said, "Well, what can we do? What can we do?" I said, "Well, we'll wait until he can walk, and then we'll send him to tap dancing school." And yeah. So they sent me off to tap dancing school, and I did very well at tap dancing. And on Friday nights, which was a group class night, my grandmother and my mother would take me to this thing, and I go in there and I do my dance lesson, and then we'd stop off on the pub on the way back home, and at the pub, And you know, my grandmother, my mum, and they'd have like, you know, half a lager and lime, you know, maybe two, and just sit there and sip and smoke cigarettes. And I'd have to stand outside of the bar in this sort of corridor, and I remember my eyes getting burnt by the smoke, but I was always fascinated by the loud drunk at the bar. He was fantastic. Whoever he was the best. That was what I wanted to be, loud and obnoxious, falling down, making everybody laugh, the center of attention. And that was what I wanted to be when I grew up. So, you know, I mean, we didn't have ID or anything, you know. You walk into a pub in England when you're, you know, as a kid, and they'd say, you'd order a pint of beer, and they'd say, how old are you? And you'd say, oh, 18. And they say, oh, all right. No, nobody had driver's license. Nobody had any cars when I was growing up. You know, so I think I was probably like around 15 when I started going and hanging out, and well, I was 15 because that's when I left school and I got a job at 15, and I started to. I go out on the weekends and spend whatever money I earned on a drink, you know, with my friends, in the pubs and in the dance halls, and maybe a bit of a fight here and there, you know, piss up and a punch up, we call it in England. But that was back in the days when, you know, you get into a fight with someone and you say, oh, I've had enough, and they'd stop, and then you go and have a drink with them. You know? It's not like that nowadays, is it? You know, bastards there want to kill you and everything, you know. So. But that's kind of how I grew up. And at some point in there, I stopped tap dancing, and because you didn't meet any girls when you were tap dancing. You know, I mean, as good as I was good. Oh, I was light on my feet. But you know, when I was 12 years old, I got this job in this children's chorus in this summer show with this guy Max Bygraves, who was this big star in England. He's kind of like Sammy Davis in England, you know. He was a great big star. And we did this summer show when I was in this children's chorus, and we go out and we dance around on the stage and do these songs. And one day I looked down into the orchestra pit and I saw the drummer. And I said, oh, that's how he does it. He's done it. Oh, I said, I can do that. I'm going to practice that. Yeah, I can talk to you and I can do it and not even think about it. That's how good I am at doing that. And that's what I started to do. I become a drummer. You know, I learned how to play the drums, and then I went to this dance hall, this like children's dance hall, and where people would drop off people at noon, and this band showed up. You know, I mean, I go and dance. I go there and dance with all these girls, and they say, "Oh yeah, he's a great dancer," but you know, dancing. And then Manfred Mann's band showed up one day and did a sound check, and every girl in the place just went completely crazy and threw themselves at this band. You know, I mean, there's all these little 12-year-old girls. And I said to my friends, you know, we need to start a band. You know, and I'm going to be the drummer because that's what I know how to do. So I became the drummer in the band, and. When I was 15, I was in trouble at school because they didn't like, you know, they said, what do you want to do when you leave school? And I said, I want to be a drummer. And they said, well, you can't do that. That's not a real job. And I say, well, Ringo Starr does it. And I say, yeah, but that's Ringo Starr. And I said, well, I'm probably play as good as he does. And that got me like, oh, here comes Ringo. So I guess that was my first resentment, my first real resentment, because I showed them I stopped studying. and I stopped playing football and I stopped boxing for the school, stopped doing anything for them. Yeah, and I quit school and I became a musician, which is not such a bad thing because I still do it today. Yeah, and I love playing music. And well, I try, because there's so many different routes that I can take here with this stuff. I don't know which way to go. I try to get to the recovery bit as quickly as possible. I could go on and on about the drinking, because drinking and discovering cocaine. I remember discovering cocaine on my second trip to the United States. I discovered cocaine. Before that, I discovered a drug called Captagon, a depressed trombone player who suddenly cheered up. I said, "Oh, you're looking pretty happy today. What's up with you?" And he said, "Oh, this doctor gave me this stuff, man. It's great. It's pure Captagon." Well, can I have one? I mean, I didn't even feel depressed. And along the line, all these different things that you think about. I mean, I remember the first time it was I was in France and I was working in France, and this French guy was hanging out with us, and you always get these people sort of come out, hang around bands and everything. He said, "I want to smoke a joint," and why not? So I took a couple of hits of this joint, and the room started spinning, and I had this out of body experience, and I think I threw up. And every time I got to drinking, and somebody would give me a joint, it would make me sick. I'd throw up, but I never ever said no. Ever. I there drinking, just partying, having a just drink. Someone say, "Want a joint?" Throw up. Never ever said no. I've never figured that one out. Can you figure that out for me? So, and then I came over here, and I was playing somewhere in Miami, and there was a guy. That was one of these guys that was hanging out around the band again, and he pulled out this packet and he started Now, my mum told me, my mother, she told me, don't go doing any drugs, Stephen. And I thought, not me, Mum, no, I'd never do anything like that. So this guy, he had this stuff. He was like chopping out these lines, and I'm like, and he says, "You want some?" And I said, well, no. And he said, "Oh, it's okay. It's cocaine. It's not addictive." So I thought, "Oh, well, that's all right." That's all right. I'll have some of that then. And I wasn't addicted to that for years after, years and years. I just so. Yeah, I know some people. I don't really know. So sometimes for the newcomer, sometimes you go to places and you mention drugs, and they say, "Oh, we talk. This is Alcoholics Anonymous. We don't, this has got nothing to do. We don't mention drugs around here." Well, I got news for you. Page 7. It waits all the way to page 7. If you don't believe me, read the darn book. To mention doing drugs and alcohol. We deal with alcoholism in Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholism, you stop drinking, there's a whole bunch of other stuff comes up. And it's funny because in this book, in this very book, if you read it, it talks about overeating. Took me a long time to see it too. They're talking about that story about that guy that went and sold that car. Went to sell that car, and he sat down. He had a sandwich and a glass of milk. Remember that story? Anybody read the book out there? I see like 2 people going. Don't read the book in this meeting. Well, if you read the book, there's some good stories. Tell them like a storyteller to you. And he said, he has a sandwich, and then he has a glass of milk, and then he has another sandwich. I never saw it. It took me ages to see that. I said, "What? Wait a minute. 2 sandwiches?" You know, I come from England. You talk sandwiches, little sandwiches like this, finger sandwiches. This is America. Jerry's Deli, say no more. You got places in America where if you can get the sandwich into your mouth, it's too small. I got a witness. Isn't that right, Sam? How much you lose? You lost about 40 pounds or something, 50 pounds. He lost a lot of weight. You were a big one. So I used to see Sam down at this meeting. He used to sit there and he'd have this like green pasta and like some sort of pesto. And what else was in it? There was something else in it. What was it? Sausage. And you called it the heart attack something, wasn't it? I walked down and said, "What's that?" He said, "It's the heart attack special or something." No, give me 2 of those. 10 years sober. Yeah, so like all kinds of stuff, all kinds of stuff comes up. And then, let's not forget sex. Okay, well I won't touch that one. But anyways, I thought that you know, when I came in here, I had this lawsuit in Cleveland, the longest running lawsuit in Cuyahoga County. I want to make sure that's taken down on this. Remember that when you listen to this CD. Went on forever, and this was a daughter that was in between a son and a daughter that I had when I was married. Oh, we're getting to the sex thing anyways, aren't we? And then just to put the nail in the coffin, I thought, well, you know, let me try that one more time, and I had another son. You know, there was another son, sort of, somebody else. Why these people wanted to have my kids, I don't know. You know, what a mess. And so here I was with all this stuff, you know, and I mean, I didn't even find out about the one in Cleveland until she was like 9 years old. I mean, sort of kind of bolt out of the blue sort of thing, you know. I was actually in Cleveland. I've been here. I was in Cleveland and just done this massive concert, and it was just great. And I came off the stage and I was all like, "Yeah, this is great. I could go out and get really fucked up now." And this manager gave me an envelope. He said, somebody gave me, I said, "What is it? Is it a suit or something?" And he said, so I opened it, and sure enough, that's what it was. It was a lawsuit. Yeah? 9 years later, the wreckage of my past. Yeah? And oh God, I was just so pissed off. You know? How could they do this to me? You know? I mean, what had I done to deserve this? I was a nice guy, you know. And then shortly after that, you know, this other girl, "I'm pregnant." "Oh, well, you know, we got to do something about it." No, I'm going to keep it." "Oh no, please don't do this to me." "Oh, please not now." "Oh, well, maybe it'll help with your lawsuit in Cleveland." No. Just a mess, just a total mess. And I tried, that was my last run. I tried to drink everything away. I tried to drink all the stuff that I'd done away, and snort, you know, and smoke, and throw up. I just, wouldn't go away. And in the end, no matter how much I drank, and no matter how much I snorted, I couldn't sort of lose the, I couldn't escape the reality of it, you know. There was just all this sort of twisting and turning, trying to escape what was going on, and it wouldn't go away. It just wouldn't go away. You know? I mean, you know, I say, you know, being a musician, you know, I guess I had one thing that sort of saved me from from completely blowing a career was that, you know, I discovered pretty early on. I tried it a couple of times. I tried drinking and getting really, you know, schnaffed and playing. It didn't work too good. You know, I didn't like it. I didn't like how it made me feel. I didn't like not to know if I was in the second verse or the third verse, if the song was about to end or if we were going to the bridge. You know, it was all this uncertainty in my profession. I didn't like it. You know, so and I love to play. So I didn't drink and play. You know? I mean, there was a time when I'd have maybe a shot of vodka before I went on stage, just to take the edge off, you know, and then I'd go play. I'd sweat a lot. And then when I came off a stage, I'd have like about a shot that big one, and then do the encore, come off, and then it was on, out to the clubs and running around, kinds of drugs and this that and the other, you know. And that was kind of how I maintained it. But now I was at this point where. You know, I was just 14 years ago today. I was in it, you know. I was in my house, and I wasn't feeling too good about stuff. You know, I'm very happy about anything at all, and I would just sit there and snort and drink and watch Home Shopping Club. I didn't have all the excitement. You know, a lot of you guys had all the excitement of car chases and policemen beating you up and stuff. I never had that. Mine was just me and Home Shopping Club, wondering who was going to buy that moo-moo. Yeah. And sometimes I'd stay up like, you know, quite a bit. And I'd stay up all to the early afternoon, and I'd watch all my children. And I knew who Erica was married to. As a matter of fact, people would go out of town, they'd come back and they'd say, "Steve, I missed all my children. I was in Europe, I didn't see all my children. What happened?" And I could tell them. I knew everything that went on in all my children. Anyway, I came out here to do this rock and roll, well, TV shows. I played with this rock and roll band on this TV show, and I went staying at a friend of mine's house and over there in the valley, and I sat there and with my bottle of vodka and my packet 8-ball of cocaine, and he was running up and down cleaning his kitchen, and I just had this thought about, you know, I said, "Nathan, I've been doing this for a while now, and I don't even know why I'm doing it. I'm not going out anywhere. I'm not really enjoying it. It's not doing anything for me. You know, I'm going to stop." And my friend Nathan said, "Steve, that's fantastic. You know, that's really great. Swear off with me." I said, "Okay, I swear off with you, but I'm going to finish this." Let me just finish this first, and then and I was one of those alcoholics that you know, I always thought I could stop drinking anytime I felt like it, but I just hadn't got around to feeling like it yet. You know, and now I was at that point where I felt like it, so I'm going to stop. So I get on the plane and I fly back home, and I resist the little bottles, you know, when they come out in that little cart. No problem with that. And then I get back home and I go to a friend of mine's party and at his house, and I meet this girl, and we start talking, and I say, "You want to go out to a bar?" I take her to a bar. I'm sitting there drinking Coca-Cola. We're drinking. I say to her, how come I've never met you before? You're a friend of, like, one of my very best friends. She said, "I've met you 3 times before." She said, I came to your house once, and we hung out at your house, and I sat next to you at dinner a few weeks back, and I came to one of your concerts there, with everybody. So that was love. I fell in love. That seemed an easy solution to do there. She told me that she wouldn't have gone, if I hadn't stopped drinking, she wasn't going to have anything to do with me, and she'd noticed that I'd stopped drinking. So that was good. That was a pretty good thing to do. And then like a day or two after, I'm in bed asleep, and I had this dream. I had this dream that somebody's got a great big spoonful of cocaine and they're holding it underneath my nose. And so I hold my breath. And finally, I have to take a breath, and I wake up, and I'm sitting up in my bed, and I'm covered in sweat. My heart is pumping like this, and I couldn't tell if I had or hadn't done it. Couldn't tell. It was kind of seamless, It was, and I was terrified, and I was really, really scared, and I thought, well, that's kind of strange. That was a kind of strange dream, and then next night it happened again, and it was again and again, like this recurring dream, and my brain during the day started to feel. You remember pong? Remember that thing with the ping, when they played like tennis, and the ball would go boom, 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 boom. That's what my brain felt like it was doing inside of my head. It was like bouncing around in there, and I couldn't sort of get any kind, make it be still, and I was just confused, lost, and pitiful. I mean, it was pitiful, right? This is the word that they use in the big book, pitiful. And I did that for 3 weeks, and I was doing that white knuckle thing for 3 weeks. And I was counting my days, and 3 weeks, and just hanging on. I mean, barely hanging on. And then this friend of mine, who I used to work with, who we used to get drunk together, and at that point he'd stopped drinking 4 years earlier. He'd 4 years sober, but he never ever talked to me about AA. Never ever talked. And he would live very dangerously. I would imagine he would come and hang out with me in New York in his early sobriety, and he'd go out to the clubs and everything with me. And I didn't really care if he drank or used or not. I mean, it was he probably needed it more than I did. That was my thinking. And he just called me up to see how I was doing. And he's from Texas. His name's Steve too. And he's got that Texan drawl. He talks like that. That's what a Texan sounds like to an Englishman. And he said, how you doing? Steve, that's just a mess. I've given up everything. What do you mean you're giving up everything? Well, no more booze, no more drugs, no more nothing else. So stop doing all that. Well, how's it going? Oh, it's horrible, man. It's just horrible. It's just horrible. It's strange. Have you tried going to AA? I don't want to go to AA. I don't want to go down there. Now, I didn't know where AA was. But I'd heard people talk about it. My boss had talked about it. And I figured that it had to be down somewhere. Because and it was funny because my boss at that time, he was very much into AA, and he was my benchmark for an alcoholic, because I never really drank. I never drank like him. That was for sure. He could really drink. I could probably outdo him on a cocaine, but boy, drinking, he was just champion drinker. And I'd seen him get sober twice. I'd seen him go through a tragedy. I saw him go through a tragedy, and at that point, I thought that anybody that had gone through a tragedy like that, he'd gone through the loss of a child, and it wasn't just the loss of a child. It was just a horrible situation. How it had happened, how this child had died, and I thought, my thinking was that if anybody should have a day off, be given a free day off to go and drink from AA, it was him, to go through that kind of pain, you know. And so you all were wrong, you know. And all the stuff that he talked about, and all the stuff that he spouted about AA and being the most important thing in his life, didn't count, you know. Didn't count for anything. And then I saw him go through that without taking a drink, and I knew that he'd come and see you guys. So it was the first indication that he was the first indication that I had that AA could get you through a catastrophe, a real catastrophe. I didn't know how he did it or what he did in what you did in here. I didn't have any idea, but I knew that he got through that with that. And so my friend Stephen jumped on a plane in Austin, Texas, and took me to my first AA meeting at a place called Midnight Madness on Houston Street in New York. Anybody know it? Anybody been there? All right, yeah. See? And you know, I didn't find out until 3 years ago that it was Midnight Madness. I decided to go to Midnight. I'm going to go to Midnight Madness. I want to see this meeting. I heard a lot about this meeting. I'm going to go there. I go there, I walk in there, and I say, wait a minute, this is the first place I ever came to a meeting. That's how screwed up I was when I first came into AA. And then I went to my friend took me there, and I had all this stuff. And all you newcomers, you're probably going through all this stuff, all this attention that you get, newcomers, when you go into me. I'm new, and then everybody rushes up to you and gives you pieces of paper and phone numbers, and you know. And so I went to this other meeting. He gave me like a meeting book. And I went to this place called Fireside up on the Upper West Side, which was in the YMCA. You know that one too. It's a New Yorker over there. And I walked in there, and I was still at that stage of, my name's Steve, and I might be an alcoholic. And this guy came up to me after the meeting and said, "I'll be your temporary sponsor. I'll help you out. I'll be here's my card, my telephone. I want you to call me, and I'll be your temporary sponsor." And I said, "Oh, thank you so much." And I thought, "Fuck you, man. Who are you? I don't know you." What do you want? You know, I know this is being recorded, and you know, you're not supposed to use profanity and everything, but you know, it's the only way that I can express out my thoughts at the time. That's exactly what I thought. I was an asshole, and I was like, "Fuck you. This guy's trying to be nice to me. Hello. Fuck you." Yeah? I see it happen all the time. I do it now. I walk up to newcomers. "Hello." So anyways, I go to the next day. I liked that meeting. It was close to where I was working, so I got there and I run in there again. And here come this guy. You know, you didn't call me yesterday. Yeah, well, no, I was busy. You know, I had a lot of things to do. Sorry. Okay. Let's go sit down. A meeting's about to start. I go sit down, and he'd sit down next to me. The next day I walk in there, and he was sitting over there, so I go over there. And he'd get up, come over, sit down. And he didn't call me. "Oh, no, you know, I was really busy." I was like, "God, get rid of this guy. What does he want?" And I talked about God. I don't want to scare any newcomers, right? I'm going to talk about God now. God puts people in your lives. In these rooms, God puts people in here, and God puts people in your life. God put this guy in my life for one reason, and one moment only. I don't know where he is now. I hope to God he's sober. Yeah? As much as this guy used to chase me around, once I thought I had him. I walked in and there was a space between two people, so I went and sat down in between two people. I thought, He came over and he said to the person, he said, "Would you mind moving over a seat?" I know. Now, if you think he's smart, he was smart. He was a smart one. It didn't register how smart he was, you know, because he had a lot of ways of cutting me off. He had lots of ways of cutting off my escape route because I didn't really want to be there. I didn't want to be there in AA. I don't want to be in there. It says in the big book, alcoholics like me don't like to be in, don't want to be in, don't want to be involved in this. But one day I'm sitting there at this meeting and this woman is talking, she's talking about some cocaine. And I had a brilliant newcomer idea. And who's sitting next to me but Mr. Ask Me Questions, call me, do me, ask me this, ask me that, call me, ask me about this, ask me about that. So I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this and I say, "Hey, I've been thinking." I say, what about if I just took the cocaine out of my life? And then maybe I could just sort of like have a drink. I think the cocaine was the problem all along anyways. And, I mean, it could have been any kind of, you run in, you newcomers, you new people, you run into like lots of different kinds of alcoholics. There's some sick people in these rooms. And he might have been one of those guys that came out and said, here's $20, I'll buy you your first drink. In which case I would have been, thank you, and out of there into the first bar. Could have been a lot different, could have come up with a lot. You could have been one of those guys that started, "Why don't you read the big book?" Or, there was lots of different things. But this guy, God put this guy there for me. And he was, like I say, he was pretty adept at cutting off my escape routes. He said to me, "Steve, you do know how you drink, right?" And I thought about that for a second. And I said, yeah. He said, "Well, do you want that guy making a decision on whether to do a line of cocaine or not?" Where do you get that stuff from? AAs come up with that stuff all the time. AAs can come up with the dangest ways to cut off your escape route to get out, And then once I did my 90 meetings in 90 days, and I walked in, and this woman, she looked at the watch and went, and that was enough to drive me out of it. It drove me out of AA for a while. I stopped going to AA. A couple of years I stopped going there. I stayed in contact with the people that I liked here. And then I got really lucky. Started working with somebody who brought me back into the program. Is it time yet, or do I go on some more? It's time? 5 minutes? Great. Okay. So, since then, God's put like a lot of people in my life. I got sponsor out here, and my first sponsor that I had decided to drink normally, and God bless her. God bless her. She's still drinking normally. She's drinking normally now. It worked for her. But it says in here, anybody can do about face. Her hats are off to them. I got to be really relieved that she doesn't have what I have, because I don't want to try that. I know where it took me. It was misery. And every once in a while I start feeling sorry for myself. Like this past couple of weeks, I've had a couple of oral surgeries, and I can feel pretty sorry for myself. And even after 14 years, you see people say, "Oh, the possession's been removed." So I'm sitting there, and my mouth is it's just so painful in it, and I got some pain, and I think, God, to shot a tequila. They want to tell me to rinse my mouth with salt water. I want to rinse it with some tequila. The upside is this: next Sunday coming, the daughter from the Cleveland case is bringing me my grandchild to look after. My grandson Nathan, and she's coming down, and they're going to take a little trip up to Universal with my other son and my other daughter. And last Christmas, I had them all. My son from Florida, the last one, 14-year-old. He and my daughter and my grandson and my other daughter and my other son were all under my roof with me at Christmas. You know? Success story. And if I'd have looked forward from that first day that I walked into an AA meeting, if somebody said to me, 14 years from now, all that stuff that you've come in here with will be resolved, I would have said, 14 years? I gotta wait 14 years? I can't do 14 years. Luckily, you only have to do it one day at a time, don't you? Yeah? And then when you do get that 14 years and you get all these miraculous things and problems that have gone and they're replaced by other ones, there's other problems that show up. But hopefully somewhere down the road, along the way, you learn how to handle them with this in here and the help of another alcoholic or other alcoholics. When you look back, when you get to that point where that stuff is all resolved and stuff is just going wonderfully, and you look back, it all went just like that. And where did that time go? It went so fast. So all I can say to you, it took me 5 years to understand it. You know, keep coming back. God bless you. You helped me stay sober today. Thank you very much.